like to call the meeting to order. Mrs. Burns, roll call.
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Present.
Mr. Allen?
Present.
Mrs. Burgess is absent with prior notice. Mrs. Lafferty?
Here.
Mrs. Marshall?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Sporny?
Present.
And Mrs. Waldweiser?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters related to employment, safety, and security, and an assessment appeal litigation. Mrs. Burns, any announcements?
No announcements.
Mr. Bowman, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Last week, a group of Maple Point Middle School 8th grade students once again proudly accompanied the Bucks County Tour of Honor to Washington, D.C., along with our area veterans visiting the war memorials. The tour left early in the morning from an event center at Parks Casino, and the students greeted and thanked the veterans at each memorial that they visited with handmade signs. This yearly trip has become a tradition at Maple Point, and we're proud to have Neshamimy represented at such a worthwhile event honoring those that served our country. Thank you, Maple Point. Speaking of honoring veterans, last week I attended a very moving ceremony naming the bridge that was just rebuilt on Trenton Road over I-295 after Army Staff Sergeant J.S. Moon, an Neshaminy High School graduate who was killed in action while serving in Iraq in 2006. It's fitting that this bridge, which is near Herbert Hoover Elementary School, will be a daily reminder for this young man's sacrifice for his adopted country to the hundreds or even thousands of people that cross that bridge every day, including many of our own students. It was great to see so many members of our community turn out for the ceremony, including some of the veterans that served with him. Incidentally, the bridge is almost, you can almost see the bridge from the house he grew up in, so it's very fitting that way too. Congratulations go out to Emily Wells, health and physical education teacher at Pequessing Middle School, who was just named the recipient of the 2024 Emerging Leader Award from the Southeastern District Local Association of the Society of Health and Physical Educators. Say that a few times. In the award announcement shared with Principal Tim Hunt, the group said, "Your dedication, enthusiasm, and outstanding contributions to the field of health and physical education have distinguished you as a rising star in our community. The Pequessing community and her lucky students already know that she is a star, and this is a proud moment for Neshaminy, as her colleagues from across the region recognize that now as well." Congratulations, Emily, on a job very well done. And that's all I have, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Mrs. Burns, anyone sign up for the first public?
There was no sign-ups.
Okay. That brings us to item 2, routine matters. I'd like to make a master motion to approve item 2.01 minutes, 2.02 procurement card purchases, 2.03 budget transfers, and 2.04 exonerations. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hallenbeck. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Brings us to personnel certificated. I'd like to approve a master motion to, I'd like to bring up a master motion to approve item 3.01, retirements, resignations, and end of assignments, 3.02, appointments, 3.03, leaves of absence, 3.04, revised leaves of absence, and 3.05, co-curricular appointments. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. Before we go to a vote on this, I would like to point out that under section 3.01, the retirements, there's 4 long-term employees that are retiring: a Siri Bowman with 31 years, Stephen Conowall with 24 years, Judith Oswald with 31 years, and Catherine Satilli with 31 years. We'd like to thank them for their years of dedicated service. We have a motion on the floor with a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Mrs. Hollenbeck.
I'd like to make a master motion for personnel support, 4.01 retirements, resignations, end of assignments, 4.02 appointments, 4.03 leaves of absence, and 4.04 revised leaves of absence.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Comments, questions?
I would like to point out Barbara King's resignation with 30.6 years. Thank you for your dedication to the Neshaminy School District.
Okay. We'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Business Operations, Mrs. Hollenbach.
I'd like to make a motion for 5.01, acceptance of the 2022 through 2023 audit report. Whereas the audit for the Neshaminy School District for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023 has been prepared by
Zelenkowski.
Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC, and now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the attached audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, in accordance with Section 24-2408 of the School Code, and the file is attached.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Marshall. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Sporny.
Sure, thank you. I'd like to make a motion, 5.02, Brett Denovi and Associates Contracted Services. Be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the contractual service agreements with Brett Denovi and Associates, PA, LLC, for the 2023-24 school year. 1, functional behavior assessment contract, 2, behavioral educational consultation contract with 2 attachments.
Thank you, Mr. Sporny. I have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I'd like to place a motion on the floor, 5.03, Spiesel Amended Agreement, Fieldhouse. Whereas the Neshaminy Board of School Directors desires to construct an entrance to the high school stadium that includes a new concession area, training rooms, and men's and women's bathrooms, Fieldhouse. Whereas on January 4th, 2022, Spiesel Architectural Group, Inc.'s proposal was approved to prepare the design and construction documents for the new Fieldhouse. Whereas the parties have decided to amend their existing agreement to provide a prefabricated solution for the design work associated with the Fieldhouse. And whereas architectural services are a professional service not required to be competitively bid, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the revised proposal from Spiesel Architectural Group, Inc. as submitted, subject to final review by the district solicitor, and further authorizes the board president, acting superintendent, and secretary to execute the amended agreement as approved by the district solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sporny. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Educational Development, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I'd like to make a motion for 6.01 overnight trips, whereas according to the board policy 231, trips extending overnight are permitted by authorization of the Board of School Directors only. Now therefore be resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of School Directors hereby approves the following overnight trips, and there are 3: PJAS State Science Competition at State College, Future Problem Solvers International Conference in Bloomington, Indiana, and FBLA National Competition in Orlando, Florida.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second by Mrs. Wolbeser. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0.
I'd like to make a motion for 6.02, the 2024 summer programs. Whereas the Neshaminy Board of School Directors has provided summer school opportunities for students in previous years that has allowed them to master academic material and/or explore new areas of study. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the attached summer school opportunities for 2024. Files are attached.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8. Mrs. Walbeezer.
I'd like to make a motion 6.03 Head Start Pre-K and Early Learning Center Programs MOU with BCIU. Whereas the Neshaminy School District and the Bucks IU desire to share information such as assessment results, health records, IEPs, or other information to help teachers meet the individual student needs. And whereas the Neshaminy School District and Bucks IU desire to establish channels of communication between the LEA staff and Head Start pre-K providers and local early childhood center staff. And whereas the Neshaminy School District and Bucks IU desire to coordinate with Head Start pre-K providers or early childhood centers, the LEA will participate in parent meetings to support program improvement, parent engagement, and transition-related activities into the LEA school environment. And whereas the Neshaminy School District and Bucks IU desire to provide professional development opportunities as appropriate, including transition-related trainings with Head Start pre-K providers and early childhood education staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the attached Head Start partnership agreement for the 2024 to 2025 school year. Files attached.
Thank you, Ms. Walbeezer. We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 8-0. Mrs. Marshall.
I'd like to make a motion 6.04 revised 2023 to 24 school calendar noting graduation date. Whereas at the April 9th, 2024 board meeting, a revised school calendar was approved noting the last day for students, teachers, and the Neshaminy High School graduation date. Whereas the board and administration wish to further revise the school calendar by amending the last day for teachers from June 14th, 2024 to June 18th, 2024. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the attached revised school calendar, which maintains the scheduled last day for students to be June 14th, 2024, and the last day for teachers to be June 18, 2024. Be it further resolved that June 12th, 2024 shall remain as the designated date for the Neshaminy High School graduation. And there is one file attached.
Thank you, Mrs. Marshall. We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Comments or questions?
Is someone able just to give a quick background as to this change?
Yeah, we made a mistake on the last board motion that did not change the last day for teachers. So that is why we have asked that a new motion be passed this evening.
Okay, time for our vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Mrs. Lafferty.
I'd like to make a motion 7.01, second reading of policy, whereas the first reading of the policies listed below was completed at the April 9th, 2024 public board meeting, and whereas the board policies listed below are being recommended for a policy second reading and final adoption into the Neshaminy School District Policy Manual. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Neshaminy School Board of Directors hereby approves the policies listed below for final adoption into the Neshaminy School District Policy Manual. Sections 113, Special Education, 113.3, Screening and Evaluations for Students with Disabilities, Section 126, Class Size, Section 201, Admission of Students.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 8-0. That brings us to the closing of the meeting. Anyone have any other board business? Yeah. Okay. Anyone from the public want to have anything to say? Want to approach the podium? Okay. That brings us to board comment. Before we go there, I would like to see if Mr. Bowman has any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I just want to officially welcome Deb Clayhold, our new business administrator. This is her first board meeting. We are thrilled to have her. So if you're in the audience and trying to figure out who this person is or watching from home, that's who we welcomed with us here tonight. So great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Bowman stole my comment. So anyone else have any comments? Okay.
No, other than thank you for representing us at that bridge ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had the honor of attending a number of them. My best friends is involved with getting them named and Veteran Affairs in general. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that one. So I am glad. And it was glad to see that quite a bit of the public from our Neshaminy community showed up for that one. Very good news.
And just an added note, Mr. Allen, we have a picture of Jay Moon in Neshaminy High School as well that's been there for a long time. As you walk down Main Street, there's a great memorial to him in our high school as well.
Thank you. There's a listing of all the future meetings for May and June attached in the package. The next meeting coming up is May 1st, the Business Operations Committee meeting, which will be next week in this room. That being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by 7 other people. Meeting's adjourned.